I have a representative shot on the background. This pretty much sums up the political developments in Nepal. So let's talk about the unfolding political scenario in the country that has the political pundits, international observers, I guess, baffled. Birds of a feather, they flock together, don't they? So isn't it natural for Nepal's leftist forces, the CPN Mao Center and the CPN UML, to cobble together a new coalition with a little help from the likes of the Rashtriya Swatantra Party, the CPN Unified Socialist and Janta Samajwadi Party, isn't it? Yes and no. This is because Nepal's leftist forces, barring a few exceptions, do not have much left, within quotes, left in them. In the course of time, they have watered down their ideologies so much that it is difficult to draw a line between them and the capitalist to the core Nepali Congress. Also, the CPN UML's high animosity with the Pushpakamal Dahal led Maoist Party and the Madhav Kumar Nepal led outfit. This too barely before the last general elections and after those elections is still vivid in public memory, though the Nepali people are known to have a very short memory. That's why they keep electing those tried, tested, and failed political leaders to high positions time and time again. Just days before opting for a marriage of convenience, CPN-UML chair KP Sharma Oli and Mao's chair Prachanda Pushpakamal Dahal alias Prachanda, they were busy hauling each other over the coals at every imaginable forum. Do even a people with a very short memory, do they think everything is honky-dory between the two within quotes leftist outfits? I mean, how about waiting till the next elections that are 4 long years away? Let's talk about another season of vitriol next. The Maoist UML nuptial, this nascent nuptial, has hurt the Nepali Congress big time, and it is showing the largest party in the parliament is showing its heart to the public. The largest party in the federal parliament, the Nepali Congress, has started accusing the Maoist party, the third largest party with 32 seats in the parliament, of what else but political betrayal. Sounds familiar. All it all this sounds familiar, doesn't it? For the past few days, the parliament, the supposedly sovereign body that is supposed to reflect the will of the people, the will of the sovereign people, has this sovereign body has been a mute spectator to hostile exchanges between the two former partners, the Nepali Congress and the CPN Mao Center. On his part, Mao's chair Prachanda, Pushpakamal Dahal alias Prachanda, has indicated that he had to opt for a new coalition midstream. Why? Because of non-cooperation from Congress ministers in the Westminster system of governance. The ministers are supposed to be accountable to who else but the Prime Minister himself or herself. So but in this case, that was not happening, as the recent statements from the Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal indicate. Dahal, on his part, has indicated that he has some big plans up his sleeves. What those plans might be, one wonders. The sellout of some more of Nepal's lifelines, rivers and streams that have the capacity to transform the national economy and herald a new era of national progress and prosperity. These acrimonious exchanges between the Nepali Congress and the Maoist party, they hark back to years of vitriol between UML chair KP Sharma Oli and Maoist chair Pushpakamal Dahal. But do these parties think that the people are interested in this kind of heated exchanges, these hate speeches that uh, further deepen the already existing fault lines in the Nepali society? In fact, the people are fed up with such exchanges at a time when a country neck deep in corruption and nepotism is reeling under political instability, a chronic political instability, joblessness, and a near total breakdown of law and order. The people have had enough vitriol and they cannot take it anymore. The shot on the background is from the state-run, the state-owned national daily, National English Daily, that is the Rising Nepal, just to give you a picture of this unfolding, of this fast unfolding political scenario in Nepal. So we were talking about this vitriol between the political parties, the top brass of the Nepali Congress and the CPN Mao Center, and the top brass of the CPN Mao Center and the CPN UML, that is the second largest party in the parliament. In fact, Mao's chair, Pushpakamal Dahal, will be doing himself and this country a great service. How can he do that? He can just do this great service to himself, uh, the country and the people by desisting from responding to every criticism coming from every imaginable quarter. If he does so, he will have little time for walking the talk. He will have little time for fulfilling the hefty promises, those high sounding promises he has made to the people and the country. For better or for worse, Nepal's politics has been revolving around this figure. It has been revolving around Dahal for over 3 decades. But the sad story is that this seasoned politician, this ex-guerrilla leader, he has not been able to make the most of that opportunity in the interest of the people and the country. Still, he has got one more opportunity to prove that he is a man of action. So, and this time he should leave no stone unturned to just deliver on the promises he has made. So, this new ruling alliance would do well to get its act together and start delivering. On his part, Dahal would do well to desist from becoming a social media based prime minister by learning important lessons from one of his predecessors. Let's now talk a bit about a huge task that lies ahead. What is that task? Let's talk about it. After every change of guard that paradoxically brings tried, tasted, and failed characters to power one more time in Nepal, hope springs eternal from Nepali sapiens' hearts. This time also a people blessed with a very short memory. It's a huge blessing in a country in perpetual turmoil, isn't it? I think so. I think it indeed is. This time also, a people blessed with a very short memory are hoping against hope. What are those hopes? That things will get better, that there will be law and order, that there will be jobs, and this country with a potential for progress and prosperity will march toward the promised dawn, the promised sunrise that has eluded Nepal for decades. Hungry people are easily led, aren't they? Fittingly, leaders act as knights in shining armor after every change of guard, and people, the Nepali people, they believe these tried, tasted, and failed leaders easily. In the erstwhile cabinet, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Home Affairs, Narayan Kazi Shrestha, he tried to take high-level corruption by its horns, as was evident in the Lalita Nivas land grab, the 60 kg gold smuggling case, and the fake Bhutanese refugees scam, among others. At least this fellow dared open the files and started the prosecution of some leaders, bureaucrats, go-betweens, and some tycoons. Though it was a good beginning, the rich and the powerful remained clearly beyond the government's reach. This time, Deputy Prime Minister Shrestha holds another important portfolio, that is, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. During a previous stint as Foreign Minister, Shrestha tried to bring in some changes in our diplomatic engagements. These engagements are marked mostly by hush-hush talks and shady deals meant to further leaders' petty interests, select leaders' petty interests at the expense of larger interest of Nepal and the Nepalese. What was his plan back then? His plan was to have a note taker from the foreign ministry present at every important talk with a foreign representative, a far cry from the very a far cry from the very unprofessional practice of letting no one in such engagements in the name of one-to-one talks or on some other pretext. He had a code in place at that time, but it was not implemented. Shrestha also had other plans to boost the institutional memory of the Nepali state. The only downside of all those lofty plans was that they all remained on paper. Let's talk now about domestic priorities, domestic policy priorities, how to set those priorities right. Because foreign policy is just the extension of a country's domestic policies, isn't it? Some overarching domestic policy. Foreign policy is the extension of a country's overarching domestic policy or policies. So let's talk about the domestic policy priorities of Nepal. This time also, Foreign Minister Shrestha has his hands full. I mean, the government has its hands full. The Eminent Persons Group report has been gathering dust for some time. So Nepal's Prime Minister received the report even if his Indian counterpart continues to give it the cold shoulder. What what wise counsel will Foreign Minister Shrestha provide to his boss? What about unequal treatment? I mean, what about these unequal relations between the two countries? What about unequal treaties over Nepal's lifelines like the Kosi, Gandaki, and the Mahakali, and many other rivers? that that these treaties have severely compromised Nepal's water sovereignty and national sovereignty is public knowledge, isn't it? What about the correction of those treaties that have sold this country down the river? And what about border dispute? What about the border dispute? What about the border disputes? On more occasions than one, Nepal has expressed commitment to resolving the disputes through diplomatic means. What are those means, by the way? Do the people have, do they not have the right to know what those means are? What are those means? Bilateral talks? Have talks initiated in the past borne fruit, by the way? I'm talking about the bilateral talks on settlement of border disputes conducted in the past. Have they just borne fruit? Have they yielded results? Border fencing and stricter curbs on cross-border movement. Can that be a means to just resolve in a phase-wise manner the border disputes, mainly between Nepal and India? What about raising the issue of regional? What about raising these disputes in regional and international fora? What about third party mediation? When the government talks about resolving border disputes through diplomatic means, are all these means on the table or not? Is it not the time for the government to come clean on what those diplomatic means are for resolution of border disputes? There are some more issues uh, facing Nepal's diplomatic dealings, diplomacy. There are some major challenges facing this government. The issue of repatriation of Nepali youths involved in the Russia-Ukraine war, including that of those killed or injured in action, along with due compensation for the families. This is one more thorny issue that the government faces. I'm talking about the repatriation of Nepali youths engaged in the Russia-Ukraine war. I'm talking about compensation for those injured in action or those killed in action, compensation for their bereaved families. This is one more thorny issue. Equally important is the repatriation of Bipin Joshi. He was taken hostage during the October 7 Hamas attack on Gaza Strip, per media reports. Let's talk about Nepal's geopolitical and geostrategic location in this coordinate of troubled times and space. The superpower and hyperpowers, they are doing every bit to gain a competitive edge over the others in Nepal. Why? Because it is a location of geopolitical and geostrategic importance. That's why it will be very challenging for Nepal to deal with the competing interests and protect our national interest in these difficult times. It will perhaps require Shrestha and Co. at the Foreign Ministry all their imagination and caliber to deal with these issues. Expecting them to solve all these problems will be asking for too much. Like in the past, Shrestha can at least take baby steps toward the resolution of these problems. Summing up, these problems are the byproducts of our overarching domestic policy priorities gone wrong. So the government should do something. The government of the day should do some serious homework to set these priorities right. But then a question arises, a pertinent question. Will a government standing on shaky terrain, literally on quicksand, will a government standing on a shaky terrain will have will a government standing on a shaky terrain have time and energy and the resources for all this? Let's hope against hope and hope for the best despite the a level of pessimism that just has gripped the Nepali society. With this, I have come to the end of today's program. I once again request you to subscribe to this channel, comment on our presentation, and press that like button. We are trying to promote citizen journalism. We are not trying to promote or protect any vested interest. We want to be your true voice, so we request you to subscribe to this channel, comment on our presentation, and press that like button. Your support will mean a whole lot to us. It will give us a huge confidence boost. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.